Okay, so we're going to do a couple more things here. I want to hang a light from the ceiling that hovers right directly above the table. So there's some kind of conceptual concerns here that we need to think about in terms of positioning. In terms of finding the center of a plane that's moving away from you, like the top of that table or the wall or whatever, you could measure it, but there's an easier way to do it because the backs, the further the plane gets away from you, the shorter the distance is, the halves are. So, for instance, this plane right here, from the door over to the edge of the paper here. If I were to measure from here to here and just split it in half, what happens is, like just by using a ruler, this half looks bigger than this half because the first rule of perspective is as things move away from you, they get smaller, right? So by default, the halfway point is not the measured halfway point, but a little bit to the left, right? Because this part of the wall is a little further away from us than this part of the wall, okay? So how to determine that is to put an X in the plane, okay? So let's go back to the table here. Let me zoom in here a little bit. So to find the center of a plane, all you do is go from corner to corner. Let me get my ruler out here, or my straight line. Project a line. See, I'm just projecting a line across there. You'd use your ruler, right? From corner to corner. So where that X is created, the cross, right, is the visual middle of that plane that's moving away from us. So all I would need to do then to hang a light from the ceiling is run a vertical up from there, correct? Let's back out here a little bit. Let's say I want to hang a kind of a globe light from the ceiling. So all I would need to do is go to that point right there where the X is and run a line vertical from there up to the ceiling, and I'd find a point on the ceiling from which I could hang a light directly above the table, right? So that's what I'm doing here. Now the problem is, where is the ceiling out here where the table is? I know where it is back there. So see where that line's crossing? That's not the ceiling yet. The ceiling's up here somewhere. Trick is, I don't know where it is yet. Okay? So I can hang let's say that the globe I'm hanging is at eye level, okay? The globe light that's hanging from the ceiling. So I'll just draw that in right now. Right at eye. Oh, that's not it. Let's go back. Right at eye level. That's eye level, right? So what I'm doing is I'm making one of those, white globe lights there hanging there, right? Okay. So let me do just a little bit of erasing here just to clarify some things. So I wouldn't see anything there. Don't need this anymore because I've positioned that light, right? And I gotta click on a couple of, get rid of that. Corner. of the room. I wouldn't see that necessarily behind. That's on 2 different layers, so I just got to kind of whittle away at that. 3 different layers maybe, huh? Okay, that's pretty good. All right, so you get the idea. Now, so this is the horizon line here, right? So let's kind of wipe that away just a little bit. Clean some things up here. It's still, you know, I'm still using it with the vanishing points, right? But I really don't need it in the scene anymore, right? So we'll just kind of quickly remove this stuff here. Just to kind of clean things up. Okay. Get that stuff later. Okay, so the globe light hanging in the middle, right? And kind of see the corner of the room a little bit past that. Looks pretty good there. Okay, so to find out where this attaches to the ceiling, you have to work your way back to the wall, okay? Now remember when we, excuse me, when we built this table, we built it in such a way that it was the dimension of the opening of the door and the dimension of the opening of the fireplace where they crossed one another, right? So all I need to do is find the middle of one of those, either the opening of the fireplace or the opening of the door, and project a line up from there, okay, to up the wall, and you'll see what I mean here in a second. So let's do it maybe in the fireplace here. So I'm going to lighten this up just a little bit. That old opening of the fireplace, something like that right there, right? Just lighten that line just a little bit. So there's the corner of the old opening of the fireplace. We erased it, remember, because of the mantle was going to block it. So all I have to do is put an X in this opening. Whoop. Let me go back to the straight edge here. That's not it, huh? Where that X crosses, remember that's the plane of the wall there, right? Right there is the wall, right there is the wall, right there is the wall, the corner of that opening, right? So that X is in the plane of the wall. Now all I have to do is take that X vertically till I hit the ceiling. Now I'm going up, 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 up. Now I can get over there, right on the X a little bit more. That's pretty good. I'm going up into the opening. Now I'm slipping in behind the mantle and just creeping up the wall there, right? That's right on the wall. How do I know that? Because the X is in the opening of the fireplace, which is in the wall. And now I know where the ceiling is. It's right there because I'm on the wall. So all I have to do now to find out where this is project a line from this vanishing point over here out across the ceiling where that hits that, gives me the, let's see how this line looks like. It's a little tilted. Let me see here. I guess it's okay. I just want to make sure everything's lined up here. I guess it's good. Okay, so all I need to do to find where this thing hits the ceiling is start here, come from this vanishing point, out across the ceiling, and voila, right there, is where that hits the ceiling. Okay? So I can erase away the rest of the stuff. Don't need any of that. So if you want to kind of draw a fixture up there or something, you could do that. Okay? So see what we did. We found the middle of this, went straight up. Well, it's a little tilted because the drawing got a little tilted when I was working on it, but it's good enough. And because this was right in front of this, this was the result of the opening here. All I did is find the middle of this, work my way up the wall, work my way over. So we're kind of circumnavigating, kind of this space, slicing a plane out from the wall, right? To find out where that part is right there. Okay. So there would be your fixture right in there. Okay. Okay, let's do one more thing here. So, let's put a chair right here. So what we're going to do first is like a big soft chair, okay? What we're going to do first is, excuse me, draw the shape of the back of the chair as it's pushed up against the wall, okay? Remember, we're going to start with a cube. So I'm going to start with 2 verticals. Like we did with the opening of the fireplace. I don't want to get too close to the horizon line here. Okay, so that's probably pretty good. And we'll draw another one. And then the top of that plane, we're just kind of drawing a plane on the wall, right? That's going to be the shape of a cube that's going to come out. Projects from this vanishing point over here because it's parallel to this line right here, right? So you only have 2 choices. Okay. So I'll just kind of erase away that little bit right there. Now we're going to project that out from the let's make sure this is lined up. That's pretty good, yeah. So I got 4 corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got to make it into a 6-sided cube, right? So we'll just kind of mindlessly here, a certain way, project out into space, and that comes from the opposite vanishing point, right? The one up here. Remember, you're going to have to put your ruler on the paper and go right to that vanishing point. You can't fudge it, okay? Because nothing will work out if you fudge it. So I'm going to each corner here. Nothing will line up, right? Now here it gets tricky, right? So remember that line that I'm crossing there's way behind this one that I'm making, okay? And it gets really tricky out here because as I bring the fourth line out, I'm going to go right over top of that stuff, right? Because I don't know how far out the chair is going to come yet. So I got to finish the cube, okay? So I might have to erase some of this stuff as I'm drawing the cube. Now on this side, the side that's closest to me, I'm going to decide how far out I want the cube to come, the chair, right? We're going to carve a chair into the cube. So I'll say maybe something like that. So I'm going to drop a vertical down. Remember, that's way in front of that line that I just crossed. And I stop there. So there's my plane right there that's coming out from the wall. So I can go and erase this excess stuff here, right? Now I'll project the other lines across. I got to go over and connect those, right, to the opposite vanishing point. So let's see where this takes us. Pop my perspective tool on there. Fortunately, you guys don't have one, but you know, you just learned how to do this, so it wouldn't be fair to do that. Now, where that hits that right there, or it hits this line right here, right, is where I stop it. Let's take this one over. And where that hits that right there is where I stop it. Now, if I did everything correctly, let's erase these away while we're at it. Those should be right over top of one another, right? Let's drop a plumb line or a vertical. Doesn't always cooperate. There we go. And that lines up, okay? So for now, let's erase away all this stuff. Remember, things overlap other things in real life, right? So the cube that we just built, we don't know if that stuff's going to show yet or not, because we're going to make a chair out of this cube. So for now, let's just get rid of that stuff. So I wouldn't see the door, the room, you know, behind the cube, etc. Okay? Or the bottom of this wall, whatever. So there's our six-sided cube. There's the plane we started with. Here's the plane we went next to, the one coming out. And then there's the top plane, left side plane, and bottom plane, and front plane. Okay, so we got a six-sided cube there. Now we're going to cut this in half to make a seat. Okay, to make it be, remember, this is going to be kind of, it's a big, kind of one of those big soft chairs. Well, you know, it'll be kind of geometric to begin with, but you guys can soften yours up. But you got to work from the geometric forms first, okay? So let's split this cube in half. So we go the height of this, okay? And we start about halfway up. And all I'm going to do is kind of wrap a line across. So I'm going all the way back, in the back of the chair, right, till I get to there. And then this is going to come outward to there. And then it's going to go back across to the front vertical line, the one's closest to us right there. And then this is going to go back and meet the wall again. So see how I kind of put a plane? Just by wrapping a line around this thing, I cut the two cubes into, or one cube into two cubes. A top, or boxes if you want to put it that way, a top box and a bottom box. Now let's cut this top box or cube into a front and a back cube. So all we're going to do is put a vertical line here to separate, you know, to divide this top right plane into two separate planes. Pretty easy. Again, it's going to start to play with your brain here a little bit, but get away from your drawing on a regular basis and you'll be okay. Now, I don't want to stop there. I want to go down to this line. Okay, this line's way in the back. Okay. Now I'm going to wrap this around this way. Across that plane I created, the middle plane, right, till I hit the other side right there. Boom. Vertical till I hit the top plane right there, not the front one, but the one in the back, kind of. And this will, then I'll come back to this. I go the other way around too, and just draw this across the very top plane. So I now have cut this. I'm going to back that up a little bit because it's a little too, it's too much of the back. So what I'm doing here is I'm just creating, it was a little too big for my taste. I want to make this back part right here a little thinner, a little shorter. So down. This will be good because you can kind of see me do it again. Across the middle plane till I get to the other side. Up till I get to here. And over till I get to there. Okay? It's a little off. Let me back that up just a little bit. Right there. Too far. Again. Right there. Okay, so now we have 3 cubes. Big bottom one and 2 upper ones. Now let's do some erasing. This is where it gets a little tricky. So we're doing a subtractive technique to create this chair. We made a cube and we're carving cubes out of it. But we don't need to see, you know, this stuff in the back anymore. So let's get rid of that. That's where that was the wall at one point, right? Wouldn't see any of this stuff. So I'm erasing away all the original lines that was the cube, right? It was the big cube. So big solid bottom cube and 2 kind of transparent top cubes here, right? Let's get rid of this front transparent cube, okay? So I can start right here and erase away all this stuff. This is similar in a certain way, except it's a subtractive technique to what we talked about in terms of creating kind of these L forms with the sticking cubes together in that drawing we did before. So now I'm just erasing away that very front line. So what I'm left with is kind of an L shape here, right? Big bottom cube, because I just carved away that front top cube. Now let's make this opaque, right? Let's make this top back of the chair. You know, it's a big L form, right? Let's make that opaque, no longer transparent. And we could even get rid of that line, right? Make that all one L form, right? Okay, so you see how I started with a big cube, divided it up and down into a top cube and bottom cube. And then the top cube I cut a plane through, a vertical plane through it, dividing the top cube into a front and back cube, right? And then I subtracted, carved away, erased away the front cube and made both cubes opaque. So you got this really nice L form now, right? Okay. So it's kind of big, but it's like a big soft chair, right? Now the only thing we kind of lacking are arms of the chair. So now we're going to do an additive technique to put arms on the thing, okay? So I'm going to start by this adding. Now often students will kind of do this chair, but they'll forget to do this back. And they'll have the arms coming right out from the wall, right? See the back of the chair? It has thickness, right? So you got to do it this way in order to really kind of envision the forms. So I'm going to, let's move in here just a little bit. Now draw two shapes that are kind of similar. That just like we drew a rectangle on the wall to create a cube projecting out to create the chair, right? I'm drawing a rectangle on the back of the chair that I'll then project out to create you could stretch a line across here to see how high to make the other one, you know. Okay, so there's two rectangles that I drew on the back of the chair. Now what I'm going to do is project lines out, I don't know how far yet, into space to bring the arms of the chair or cubes out across the plane of the seat, right? So I got a corner here, going to project out, don't know how far yet. Corner here, project out. Don't know how far. I already have this line, right? And then the back corner, right? That's going to stretch out across the seat. Now, even though we're not going to see this, I want you to do it, right? Think in terms of transparency. I'll stop right there because that's where the seat ends, right? Now all I have to do is kind of project this line up, right? The corner of the chair upward till it hits this line somewhere, right? Not this line, not this line. These are behind. This is why drawing is so difficult, right? Those are way behind, so I'm going to stop right when I get to there. So see the side plane right there? Again, it's transparencies, right? Let's erase this away so you can kind of see it. So I can erase that back. Again, I didn't know how long to make that, right? So I'm erasing it back a little bit. Now let's finish the cube off. So I take that corner and project it up till it hits that line, right there. And then I go straight down, and hopefully that lines up with that line that came out right there, okay? So see the transparent cube I just drew? So there's a transparent cube setting on the chair, projecting out from the back of the chair, setting on the seat, projecting out. Now let's finish the other one, and then we'll erase away stuff. So we kind of just mindlessly, you know, we don't know how far out to go. Just going to kind of project that out. Project that out. Don't know how far to go yet. Already have this line, right? Bring that down just a little bit. This one right here has to project out across the seat. This is the one that people always miss. This is the horizontal plane, the seat of the chair. This is a vertical plane, which is the arm of the chair, right? So if you don't put that line right in there, you're not going to have a differentiation between the horizontal plane of the seat of the chair and the vertical plane of the side of the right arm of the chair, okay? Now we just, from where that hits that, we go straight up. Okay, let's erase this away. And I stop at that line. And then I take this over till it hits this line somewhere. Boom, right there. Now if I've done everything correctly, we should be pretty close to, let's drop a vertical right there, okay? So don't need the excess here anymore, right? Now this arm's a little bigger. What I could have done is kind of trim this down a little bit. That would have made that a little smaller. It's hard to kind of envision that when you put those two rectangles on back there. But that's, you know, all you have to do would be move this line in, and by default that would move this line in, move those in a little bit, okay? But once you understand how to do cubes, that stuff is easy to kind of make those changes. Now let's erase away what we wouldn't see. Make these, wouldn't see any of this, right? And you ask, oh, why you draw it if you don't see it? Well, it gives you a sense of space, right? It gives you a sense of place and space, so you know what's going on. You envision the dimensionality of things in a kind of fully realized way without a flattening, right? It's really dimensional, right? Using these cubes. Now we're not doing cones or cylinders or anything like that, but again, in terms of creating, animation, this is what they do, right? So again, this arm's just a little narrower than this arm, so what, big deal. Okay, so now we have kind of an L form with two cubes on top, right? See that little space right there? You always miss that too. It's where if you didn't fully realize these as transparent cubes, you wouldn't realize this back comes down and hits here, and then the seat comes out this way, right? So those are the nuances that, drawing this way really brings into the, your conceptualization of forms. So we don't need these anymore, right? Because this is on the same plane as this, right? Nor do we need this line, right? That's all one side now, right? Okay. So let's bring these, this is dark, let's see here. So now I can kind of bring this stuff back, right? That I know where that's going to disappear behind the chair. So I can kind of, too dark, I believe. Oh, come on. It's hard to get that right on. It's okay, I guess. And that disappears behind the arm of the chair right there, right? And then this comes down. So I'm just kind of redrawing what we drew way earlier on in terms of this other room. But, I wanted to kind of clear things out so I knew what was going on here. Okay. I don't know if I'll be able to do this here or not, but I'll try it in a second. Rounding those arms off a little bit to kind of create a softer look to this thing. I might be able to do it. Maybe I can do it with this. Let's see if this tool, this will do. I don't know what that's going to do. We'll see here. No, it doesn't do anything. Huh? Try the French curve. That might work. Let's see. So see that right there? I'm going to kind of round that off there. Just using a French curve to do that. I don't know if that's going to... Let me try backing that up. Let me use the other. Oh, don't want that. I think it's too big. I don't know if I can make it smaller. Yeah. So I'm just going to try to put a curve on this arm here. Just to see what happens. See where I'm lining that up and that up. I don't know what it's going to do here, but we'll see. Might be too much of a curve, but oh. And slide it over. I don't know. Shorten it just a little more. Now you can do this with a pencil, just kind of finessing it. It's kind of hard to do with the digital interface, but yeah, it's okay. So see how I kind of softened that, and we could do that up here too. I'll just do it on the one side so you see it. So the back of the chair, maybe soften that up a little bit. So I'm connecting here and here, right? And then I'm just going to kind of erase away the excess. And at that point, I don't even need that line anymore, right? That doesn't exist anymore. It's just kind of a curved form, right? Moving up to the back of where the chair hits the... So I don't need this line here at all anymore, right? Get rid of this. It's okay. If I was freehanding it, it'd be a little better, but that's not bad, I guess. You know, if I had a real pencil. And then I could even do a convex sort of kind of curve there if I wanted to or something. Okay. All right, let me back up here. Okay, so those are the hoops. I'll give you a list of what I want you to jump through in terms of constructing this drawing. Gonna make it a little bigger. So this was the original 18 by 24 sheet of paper. And kind of just review here a little bit. So we had the original horizon line, had the vanishing points way out on the wings. We don't see them in this view right now. Yeah, we placed the corner of the room first relative to the horizon line, right? Gave ourselves enough room, projected the tops and bottoms of the wall to the opposite vanishing points, cut the door in, put a room in, put a fireplace in, you know, cut a cube into the wall, projected a cube out from the wall for the top of or for the mantel out from the fireplace, found a spot on the floor that was both in front of the door and in front of the fireplace, created a shape relative to that, built a table up from that, found the middle of the table. I could erase that stuff away, but that's okay. Yeah, maybe I will. Projected upward, right? Found out where the ceiling was by putting an X in either here or the doorway, projecting up the wall, hit the ceiling, project out where those two hit each other, right? Where this vertical hits this coming out, gives you the location on the ceiling of where that would be hovering right above the table, right? So we just kind of worked our way down to the floor, over, up, and around to find the position of this light. Build a chair out of a big cube, and then subdivided the big cube into top and bottom cube, subdivided the top cube into front and back cube, erased away the front cube, made everything opaque, popped two little cubes onto the you know, the seat of the chair, and made those into the arms of the chair. Okay. So that looks a little weird with the, you know, I could maybe clean that up. Anyways, so those are, I'll give you a list of them anyway. So that's the minimum. Now you could do a sunken floor. You could do anything else. You could do kind of a molding around the fireplace. You raise the floor of the fireplace up a little bit, put bricks in there. Once you understand the principles here, the sky's the limit. I've had people do bookshelves and books and windows and all that sort of stuff. Remember, if you put a window in, a bookshelf in, it has to have dimensionality, right? You do a frame on a wall, the frame has to have dimensionality. It can't just be a flat shape. Okay, so you got to keep that in mind. A frame sticks out from the wall a little bit, right? So you got to think of it as a cube. But this is the minimum that I would like you to have in the drawing. And it doesn't have to look like, you could base it on your own room, right? And again, if you look into a corner of the room, it's kind of going to present itself this way depending upon your eye level, right? Again, if I'm sitting way down low, the whole scene would change. But this was configured in such a way so that eye level was just, a little higher than halfway on that wall, right? Okay. But again, kind of build it however you want to build it in terms of what you want to put in there. But those are the minimums that I would like you to put in, and make it, doesn't have to look like this. You could have it look a different way, but I do want to see that you understand. Like I'd like to see remnants of this over here, this cube, that we cut out, all that stuff. I want to see your work, okay, so that I can see that you understand, like, the transparency of this fireplace. I would see that you understood. You had to kind of find that corner again over here, right, to find that middle. Those sorts of things I need to see, that you kind of can comprehend that in terms of perspective and volumes and all those sorts of things. Okay. Again, have any questions, let me know. Thanks.